Welcome, everyone, to today's show. I have a treat for you. I have one of my mastermind members, Dee Aurandt, who actually has been with me since the beginning. And when I mean the beginning, I mean the beginning. The beginning of, I actually did a beta test a couple of years ago for 6 months to see if like this idea of virtual masterminding would even work in my community. And she was one of the first people to join. So she goes back a while, and I can't wait to share her story with you today. If you're catching this on the podcast, we do have some visual art to show you. So I would recommend coming over to jjflizanes.tv so you can see Dee's amazing, beautiful, stunning art, number one. And number two, if you're watching this on YouTube, we are going to be talking a lot. So if you want to take the podcast with you, click the link below so you can take this podcast with you and listen as you drive or exercise or multitask in your house. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Dee.
Well, thank you, JJ. Thanks for having me.
Of course, this is a long overdue conversation, but what I love about what we're going to talk about today is sort of the beginning, the middle, and the end of your journey of having a new perspective of, like you said, being open, of trying something. I mean, we're going to go from corporate America to retiring, to starting an art business, to pivoting. So there's a lot here. And I want to start with, why don't you tell everybody when you found me, like how you found me, when you started listening, and when the first thing that was so important to you that you took action and you reached out and you paid money and you said, okay, I'm ready for more help.
Well, I would say it's probably been about 4 years when I first found you. I was still in my corporate job. I was with a Fortune 500 company in sales and marketing and was not happy. I was missing something. I was not content. So I went searching for a podcast. I like to listen to podcasts when I walk. And so I just happened to find you and have been there ever since. So yeah, it's been a while, and still actually was listening to one this morning, your latest podcast this morning when I was walking.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that I actually wondered for a little, I'm like, well, now that you're in the mastermind, do you keep listening? Because I just wonder if some people are so overwhelmed with things to do that you stop listening. Because not everybody always says like you're on the latest episode or, versus like in the membership. So, all right. So 4 years. And then I believe that the beta test was the first time you reached out and said, I want to try this. Yes?
Yes, I did. Gosh, this seems like so long ago.
It was 2019. It was 2019.
Wow. Yeah, that's when I got my first personal taste of you, if I will, because I got to know you.
And obviously you're still here, so this is good. But you weren't always doing what you're doing now. So let's tell everybody a little bit of your backstory in terms of what you did, in terms of just a little bit of backstory. So why did you start listening to me? And then why did you take action, and where did you want to go in life?
Well, like I mentioned before, I was in a corporate sales job for over 30 years and really liked it. I went to the University of Georgia. I have an art degree, but I really didn't do anything with it. I got married, moved to a small town. You don't really do much with an art degree in a small town, and just kind of fell into sales. And I really did like that. Honestly, I had a lot of freedom. Was not stuck in an office. I was a traveling salesperson, so I really did enjoy that. And I don't know, about 2 years before I was able to retire, I just started to become very discontent. I was just kind of over that job, and the creative side of me was screaming to get out. I had always been creative and always scratched that itch, if you will, with my daughters growing up. So I kept, I kept that part of me alive, but when I could fit it in. So anyway, fast forward, my company went through some restructuring and really kind of offered packages and asked people to raise hands, and I did it immediately. I think I really feel like I kind of manifested that, honestly. And so it was a blessing at that time for me to be able to walk away from that life. So in the meantime, I set up my art studio, started painting, just kind of working that. And last year, to get my feet wet with respect to art, I entered some art shows and festivals. You usually have to do this about a year ahead of time. So when I actually retired, I had the whole year just to kind of, paint and visit some of these shows and kind of vet them before I started applying to them. So I did apply to the art shows, which would have been this year. And so I actually was able to do one art show at the very beginning of March. It was right when COVID stuff started hitting. And after that, every one of my shows had been canceled. So I found myself sitting at home on my sofa thinking, now what? Now what am I going to do? And so from there, I just started thinking about, what could I do as everything lifted? What could I do to help the art community? I have so many friends that are in the art community, both locally and in the Atlanta area, which is about an hour and a half from me, and even on into other states, and everybody was affected by this. And so that's where I pivoted. So I don't know if you want me to continue about that.
Yeah, well, I want to kind of also add my perspective in terms of so when you had come into the beta group, which was January of 2019, and it was a 6-month trial, and you had just retired or were about to retire, and you were starting your art business. So in that 6 months, while we concentrated on personal stuff, also you were focused on starting your art business, and I think you had gone away to go paint. If I'm correct, right? You went away to paint, and you set up your art studio. And then you had come to the Manifestation Boot Camp, and when I offered the year-long Inner Circle Mastermind, you joined that. And I know a lot of people have heard you on the Stepping Into Who You Really Are show that we did from Atlanta, and talking about how, you're an artist and you didn't know how it would work for you because art is in some ways different. But again, all business needs a cash flow and customers, but in terms of application of that process, it may differ. And so you weren't really sure. So I want to just ask you and to explain, if you were thinking, I don't know how this is going to work for me, what made you say yes the first time? I mean, not the beta. I mean, the year-long Inner Circle.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. At that time, I wasn't really sure, if it was even going to benefit me at all, because my business was very different than the other women that came into the group initially. And so, I just kind of thought, I don't know what I don't know. So, and for me, it's about accountability, and it's about community. And to be with like-minded women working towards a common goal really pushed me. And I knew I needed that because I've worked on an island, if you will, for so many years in my sales job that I knew for me to step out of my comfort zone and rise to the next level, I would need the support, and I would need the community, and I would need the accountability.
Let's talk about that for a second. So I know one of the things that we discussed before hitting go today was what to call today's episode. And, and you talked about being open,
right,
and staying open. And, and I'm going to even add the word trust. Trust to that, because part of being open and trusting says, I don't know the how yet. I just know I need something. I need the accountability. I need the structure. I need the community. And I remember when some of the shows were being canceled, and one day you were on a Marco in your car, frustrated about.
What you're gonna say.
Yep, you're like, well, I guess this year's a pass. You were so ready to give up and give in and say, screw it. I guess I'm not. I think you even said, I'm not going to make any money in 2020.
I did. I remember that conversation.
Yeah. And I think I came on and was like, what did I say? Well, I pretty much yelled at you, I think, and said, I said, well, yeah, if that's what you want to manifest, put that out there. I go, but I think this time is calling for you to grow in a new way that you can't see yet.
Right. And boy, were you right.
So let's tell everybody, as an artist, where all of her live events were being canceled. So all she knows is I'm going to paint, I'm going to show up at an art show, I'm going to sell my art. Okay, now there's no place to show up. Now what? And again, you said one of the impulses was, well, how do I help my friends? How do I help people in my community? So why don't you tell everyone how you made a beautiful pivot, and we'll tell that success story. But it was the impulse of wanting to help others in this time and space, and what came out of that.
Well, yeah, after the show, I was really kind of exhausted because I had painted 7 days a week, 8 and 9, 10 hours a day up until that show. Because it was my first show. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if I had enough art. I didn't know if that's right. You know, it just all the things that go through your mind. But so I needed a little downtime. So pretty much for the rest of the month of March, I just kind of rejuvenated myself, you know. And so as I had this idea in the back of my mind, probably the seed was planted from some of my other artist friends that have attended to something very similar to this. And so, but the town that I'm in Athens, we don't really have any type of outside of the art center, any type of venue to showcase the artist and showcase the art, and you know, have people come and see it and touch it and meet the artist and all that kind of stuff. So there's really nothing like that here, and there is a rich artistic community here, both visually as well as musically. So I felt that the city really kind of needed that. So it was about a 4-month planning period that I reached out to the artists that I knew, and some of them that I didn't know. You know, we all follow people on Instagram and Facebook and stuff that we kind of admire. So I reached out to them and said, hey, look, I've got this idea to have an art show, but have it in a home setting. And I want to do it sometime in the spring. Well, you know, it was very vague. And so everybody raised their hand. They're like, hey, count me in. I'm pretty interested in it. So from there, I developed, you know, that whole show, and built a website, you know, the logistics, everything from the ground up. So it was initially a lot of computer work and organization, and this is where my corporate background came. It rose to the top, if you will, because this is really kind of my jam as well. I know a lot of artists that are purely right brain, but I am very much left brain as well. So I kind of found my happy place with art, helping people, and organizing everything. So we ended up having the show in September. We had 28 artists, including myself, and over 700 pieces of art at this show. It was so overwhelming, the response that we had. It was a 2-day show in a private home here in Athens. We also was able to get the art up online so that those people that didn't live in Athens or weren't really comfortable in that type of setting. And of course, you know, we made sure that we had a lot of the safety precautions in place for social distancing, mask, and, you know, everything like that. So it really turned out well. And we, it was actually during the week. We had it on a Thursday and a Friday, mainly because when we initially planned this, that Saturday was going to be a home football game. And if anybody knows anything about college football and the SEC, Athens is where the University of Georgia is. So you plan everything around football. So that's why we didn't have it on a weekend. But we had it on 2 days, Saturday or Friday and Thursday, and it was pouring down rain. But we ended up selling over $38,000 in art. So I could not have been happier. And, you know, I have probably about 30 artists at this point interested, above and beyond the ones that we initially had, interested in doing it again. So this is something that we're going to offer the community twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. So that's kind of where my pivot went.
So just to recap, we went from I'm not going to make any money in 2020 and I'm stuck to I'm going to put an event together of 700 pieces of art. I think you sold
Yeah,
90
we sold 90
pieces.
pieces of art.
You sold 90 pieces, almost 100 pieces of art for $38,000 during the week, during COVID, in the rain, with the worst possible conditions you possibly could have had.
Right.
And you still were hugely successful. So, this story is so fun. It was such an amazing journey for us to be on too in the group, to watch you do this and to hear when you had that first day of sales. I think your first day was 25,000 of sales or something close to that, right? And how exciting that was, and how much value that you brought not only to your community but the artists in it, right? And it was enjoyable and you loved doing it. And yes, it was a lot of work, but it also, I think, taught you not to it taught you to think outside of the box and to follow your instinct, which your instinct was, I want to do something to help artists. And you didn't know how it was going to go. And you invested money in even setting it up. I mean, it was a lot of out-of-pocket expenses for you to create a website and get a new LLC and to send out invitations. And it was a lot of planning, but it was a cash positive event in the worst possible case scenario.
Absolutely. And it's funny, there's one thing that comes to mind every time I think about that event, and I think about the events going forward and the things that I'm building on because of this event is don't upper limit yourself. We read the book in our mastermind group about upper limiting yourself, and I wasn't really aware that was a thing or that I was even doing it, but I sure was. And so I don't think small. I do not think small anymore.
And I think, if anything, this has proven that you can trust your intuition. You can reach for something. And if nothing else, you're going to learn. Like you didn't, you were on task when you made a decision to do the Pretentious Collector. You were on task the whole time and thought, well, we'll see what happens, because what's the other choice? To sit here and feel defeated and be a victim of circumstance to COVID and say, well, the circumstances won't let me thrive. And if nothing else, you have proven to yourself that is not true at all.
Right. That's true.
So let's talk about what else came out of this, right? So I know that there are some people who have considered joining who are artists or are thinking like you, well, I don't know what I'd get out of this. What I'm doing is different. And at the end of the day, again, everybody, you still need to, there has to be a sales transaction of some kind. You're going to need some kind of customer. And at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. So let me ask you and be honest, because I don't care which way you tell me the answer is, would you have done this without having a support of the mastermind and coaching?
Probably not. Probably not. The idea was there. It was there last year, but it was very dormant. And I think with the help of the mastermind group, especially in the technology part of it, I was able to turn to a lot of the people in the tech in our group to help me with things that were so simple. But you have to remember, I came from a corporate background, and everything we had, were our systems and our processes and everything like that. So I've had that learning curve as well, and it has been a godsend for me to be able to pick up the phone to someone out in Texas or somebody up in Michigan to say, I need some help. I need some help with something, and they're there to help in any way that they can.
I asked Veronica the same question before she joined the executive track, because I said, would you have done any of this without the accountability and expectation of being in the group? And she said, absolutely not. And it's why she decided to move forward, because she knows that she'd like to follow through, because if no one's watching and I'm not committed to it, then the likelihood is it may die. And so all the things that I worked for this year may just kind of go away. Now, that's a different situation. And Veronica's story is coming in a couple of weeks on December 15th. But for you, I mean, I think this opened up some new possibilities of where your business could go in leveraging what you do and what your talents and your zone of genius are in different ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. I had a lot of really good conversations, meaningful conversations with the artists that were participating. And like I said before, some of them were my friends, people I knew before, but some of them were brand new acquaintances. But between conversations, and I also sent out a questionnaire kind of at the end to ask some probing questions that I thought I knew the answers to, but I just wanted to reaffirm that, and to see what they struggled with, and what they needed help with. And it's funny because me being an artist as well, it's exactly what I struggled with respect to my art. I'll spend all day in my studio painting and creating, but it's the other part of the business, the marketing, the social media, the email campaigns, the all of that encompasses it, because you can paint all day, but if nobody knows that it's there, what's the point? And with the pandemic this year, it's changed the whole landscape of the way artists go to market with their art. The shows aren't there. They're not coming back next year. There's a handful, but who knows if those are going to even you know, be realized or not. The galleries are closed. So for artists, if they don't rethink how they go to market and do things differently, they're not going to survive. And so, like I said, it's something that I struggled with, because I mean, how many times did I tell you, I hate doing social media posting, I hate doing this, I feel like I don't have time for it because I'm too busy painting, and then I have to stop and I have to do that. So it was a real pain point for me, and the artists themselves reinforce that pain point as well. Most of them have a website, but there again, if they have a website and nobody knows they exist, it's really pointless. So out of all of that being said, I'm kind of expanding into the pretentious collector with respect to, I wouldn't really call it coaching so much as it is brainstorming and collaborating with each other, to help them where they need help. Because like I mentioned earlier, most creatives are not left brain people. They're just not.
And you are,
Mhm.
and you actually, I remember you questioned, am I going to get bored? Like, I can't just paint all the time. Like, I need to be able to do something else.
Right.
So, the pretentious collector became that, so when I need to paint, I can paint. And then when I want to use my left brain, I can create all of this. And it's a great combination that I think is perfect for you. So what's come out of this, there's another business opportunity that's come out of, again, this situation, which is that you are now wanting to help artists in a more proactive way, not just in a twice a year show way, but in a getting them out there and helping them to expose their art and their brand to buyers, which again, like you said, if you're not doing the marketing, everybody, I don't care what your business is, and unless you get through referrals, which is still a form of marketing, you still have to know people. Someone has to still refer to you.
Right.
But marketing it, again, like you said, if you can have all the most beautiful, wonderful paintings and art in the world, but if no one knows it's there and they don't have access to see it, you're not going to sell any of it.
That's right.
So let's talk about, so there's two things that Dee is doing, and I want to direct everybody to Dee's website. I have my first Dee piece, which I hope I'll maybe edit into this video, and if not, you can find it on social media on my Instagram account, because I have some, and as this show is being published, I will also have more of Dee's art on my social media account. So please follow me on Instagram at JJ So make sure to follow me at JJ Flazanes on Instagram to see more of Dee's art. But I've asked Dee, since it was a really successful show, and I really love that you also sold thousands and thousands of dollars worth of art online.
Right.
So for those of you that don't live in Georgia and you're not going to make it to her next show live, you can still look and purchase her art. And if you heard this on this show, you get 25% off. For how long, Dee?
Till the end of the year.
Okay. And if someone only hears this like on January 2nd, could you extend it a little further, since, with the holidays, if they say, hey, I'm a fan of JJ's, I heard you on her show?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to ring in the new year with a bang.
Okay, so that is 25% off. Is there any kind of coupon that they need to use?
No, there will be a code, goodbye 2020. Goodbye 2020. Yes, so you can go on the website. This applies to all of my original art as well as the prints that are on there.
Goodbye 2020. Does it matter if it's all caps or if it's
yes, all caps.
All caps. Goodbye 2020.
Honestly, I don't know if it really matters, honestly, but just go ahead and put all caps.
Okay, so 25% off Dee's art, and her website is deeauranttstudios.com, and I have it here on the screen if you are watching this on YouTube. I will spell it, and it will be in the show notes for those of you that are listening. Dee, D-E-E, Aurandt, A-U-R-A-N-D-T, studios.com, and I will invite you to go check out her art. Like, even if you're not in the market, you don't think you're going to buy any art, please go look. They're beautiful. It may change your mind. Okay, because I'm going to be getting another piece as well. So deeauranttstudios.com for 25% off. Goodbye 2020. All right, so we have that you're the artist, and that's what you're selling, and that's half of what you love doing. Now, on the curator side, on the marketing side, you are now also helping artists. Let's talk about that.
That's right. There's two things that we're offering. Number one, for that artist that just really needs some advice and some direction to go, I have a 2-session brainstormer pack, if you will, where it's 2 one-hour sessions that we will spend either in person if you're locally or virtually, and we'll go over kind of what your wants and your needs are, where you need help. We'll make a plan. We'll make a 90-day plan. I don't really want to do it 2 hours consecutively because there are some things that I will want you to do and research and whatever between each session. So there will be 2 separate 1-hour sessions. And we also have created the My Pretentious Planner, which is actually, it is a 365-day planner. It is made for artists, by an artist, that you'll also get. You'll get this during the 2-session brainstormer pack, if you will. But this particular planner, it's got everything in there from your quarterly goals to your monthly social media, content posting. Because what I do find is that a lot of artists have trouble coming up with ideas of what to post on social media. Their content, they just don't know. They're at a loss. So I also have a calendar in there that shows you the holidays and the national days, if you will, for those that are stuck. If you can't think of something to post or talk about or whatever, it's National Dog Day. Do something with that. But there's also some pointers for different social media, also email marketing. I found through my survey that most artists do not build their email list, nor do they market or talk to those people. And those are going to be, those are going to be the most intimate connections that you have. And that's an opportunity that I see right there that artists are not taking advantage of, especially, with in-person, anything is kind of gone at the moment. So, so there again, like I said, there's that 2-session brainstormer pack that I'm offering, and then the 365-day planner.
And you can get both of those. Can you get the planner separately yet?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right. So you can get the planner separately also, and you can go to ifyouplanet.com/2021. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it on the screen. It will be in the show notes. The website to go to if you're an artist and want the artist planner and also the brainstorming sessions with Dee to figure out what and how to market your art so that you can sell it. ifyouplanet.com/2021. So what would be the top 3 things, Dee, do you think that you learned and or gained this year by being in the mastermind?
Oh gosh, I think I mentioned before, probably the top one that I learned um, it is not to upper limit myself. To think think big or go home. That's been kind of our mantra this year. Think big or go home, and probably another aspect that I fall back on a lot of times is that my attitude and my self-talk are everything. So, like you mentioned before, when the shows were being canceled, I'm like, I just guess I'm not gonna, make anything, do anything this year's shot. That if I stayed in that place very long, I would still be in that place. So to get out of that negative mindset and that scarcity mode, if you will, and I would say ask for help. You know, I'm a Sagittarius and I do not ask for help very well. So asking for help in the community that we have within the mastermind is a great resource. And in even my artist community here, I did lean on some of the other artists and ask their opinion and ask their help and stuff like that. And so my ego aside, if you will, took in a lot of input, and just did that.
So Dee has committed to the executive level of the 2021 Inner Circle Mastermind, which means she'll be back in a year.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it before and after. So why don't we tell everybody what your goals are? And of course, they may change because today's show is now being called Being Open to a New Direction.
Yeah.
Because you headed in one direction and you switched gears and it's expanded. Not that you can't include the original direction, but now you have multiple things that you can work on and focus on. So what was the impulse in terms of joining again and committing to a higher level and saying, all right, this is what 2021 is going to look like? Where are you going?
I would say probably after the survey that I received from the artist and seeing where their pain points were and seeing where the opportunities were, that took me to another level with respect of how I could help them and how I could be of service and provide value to them. And that's in my mind is going to take a lot of determination. It's going to take a lot of drive and the help of the community and everything that you have offered this year and I know is on the slate for next year. I need it. I need it. I feel like I have some really positive momentum right now. And I felt, because I was on the fence for a little bit, but then I felt, if I stop now, that's going to hurt me. So it wasn't much of a push. It was just a little, blow.
Well, right. But it's important for people to hear that because I've had some conversations with people who have said, okay, I'm ready. And then they get to that finish line and they go, okay, but I'm scared now. And, it's one thing for me to say something. And it's one thing for them to hear someone who's actually said, I'm afraid too. But I also know that where I want to go is more important than my limitations. And I don't want to stay here. So I'm going to decide to move forward because I can see where I want to go. And I don't want to stay in the same spot. So that's why I'm asking. That's why I want them to hear it from you. Because again, you're you and I'm me, and you get to say things that I don't know. And I am not on the other side of it, except that I can say from my experience that when you focus on where you want to go, you have to make decisions from that place, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll just do it on my own. I'll go learn some things on my own. And again, sometimes when you're not, I've been in business for myself for 20 years. When you're a new entrepreneur or when you're starting a side business, you don't know the skill sets. Like you don't know what you don't know, like what you said. You do not know the skill sets you will need to keep yourself motivated and in positive momentum and in action, because you've never provided structure for yourself. You've never had a completely full or completely free schedule and had to make decisions about how you spend your time. You've never not had people around you in an office setting that you could lean on or talk to or go to. All of a sudden, when you're working on something that's yours, you're literally by yourself, and that support is non-existent. That structure is non-existent. And you have to already be a pretty, what's the word I want to say? You want it to be pretty focused, determined, and not obedient, but you have to have that in like that really disciplined, that's the word I was looking for, disciplined attitude to get it all in there. And again, you take a coal, one piece of coal out of, a whole bunch, and that piece of coal is going to really cool off real fast.
Right.
But if you leave it in the bunch, it's going to take a lot longer for that heat to dissipate and die down. And that's the whole point of having support. But, what I think is so exciting that you didn't let you came kicking and screaming to the Instagram live, I remember, and then of course
yes,
and then afterwards you're like, okay, thanks for making me do that, right? It's like that. Even like people think, well, I have this strong impulse that says I shouldn't do it because I'm afraid, and like, yeah, that's not really your intuition, that's just your fear talking. And right now your fear is louder than your desire, right? And so for anyone listening who's got desire and they've got a pretty loud fear voice, what kind of advice would you give them, with or without the mastermind as a possibility, but just moving forward in their life in whatever they're talking about? What advice would you give them that's helped you calm the fear voice or quiet a little bit and amp up that desire, that direction, that focus, that goal voice?
Oh, that's a hard question. I was thinking back of something you said earlier about, being in the corporate world and in that structure and working for someone else like I have. Probably, a big fear that I had was working for myself. It is up to me and me alone to do what I'm doing and to pivot, to change, to succeed or whatever. And even though I've always prided myself on, a go-getter and, I'm very decisive about what I want typically, there was a lot of fear there, a lot of fear. And so with respect to the mastermind and even stepping into next year, I told myself, look, I know I can do what I want to do. It's just staying the course. And I had a thought. I can't remember what my thought was. But the question that I asked myself with respect to the mastermind is, if I'm worth the investment, because I know what it'll bring to my business and for me. And so getting over the fear, like I said, with the mastermind has helped 100%.
I can't wait till you make it back in like the first 60 to 90 days, because it's completely possible. So I want to go over again, just in terms of so if you're an artist and you can connect to what Dee's been talking about, you make beautiful art, you love what you do, you're full of emotion, but it scares the crap out of you to like promote it or to make a website or to talk about it or to show it to people, and you really need some help with that. You're going to go to ifyouplanet.com/2021. Again, ifyouplanet.com/2021. Check out her planner. It's made for artists to organize your marketing, organize your social media, organize your thoughts to how you're going to share your art with more people. And then, of course, reach out to her, get the 2-session, and let her help you and guide you into and become that accountability and support that you need from a fellow artist who knows exactly what you're feeling and what you're going through, so that you can make some strides and use her planner effectively to sell your art. Because as Dee has just beautifully illustrated and been a perfect example of, if your story is, I'm an artist and this time and space is just not good for me and I can't make any money, I'm going to call bullshit. She just proved you. She just proved you wrong. She proved herself wrong, right? She had the thought, she had the discouragement, she had the fear, and then she totally turned around and then did exactly the opposite of that. So it is possible for all of you. You are not stuck. You are not a victim. You are being called to step into, what can I do? How can I? Right? So go to ifyouplanet.com/2021 if you're an artist and need help, support, guidance, and structure. Now, for the rest of you, and the artists, please go to deeauranttstudios.com and check out her amazing art. Now it's behind her. If you're watching this on the video, you can see some of the pieces behind her that she has. But if you would like to see them and then purchase some art, because, you know, maybe you haven't been spending as much money as you normally do traveling or shopping or buying things because you haven't been allowed in a store. And you're like, and you're looking and you're looking at a wall and you're like, God, I need to put something on that wall, right? Her art is vibrant and alive, and it'll translate on the website. So when you see it on the website, I promise it'll translate and even more. So if you like it when you see it on the website, it'll be even better in person. So go to deeauranttstudios.com. Again, the link is in the show notes. The link is here. You can see it in what I've created here in a banner on the video, and you can get 25% off because you listen to the show. Goodbye 2020 is the code, all caps. Goodbye 2020. And then you will hear from Dee in a year as we recap what has happened in the Inner Circle Mastermind and with her business, both for artists as well as her own. And who knows where we're going to be? I mean, you didn't think you'd be here, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No. Gosh, no.
Right. So who knows what's going to happen in a year? But at the end of the day, as we talked about in the beginning, as long as you stay open to impulses and guidance, you can be open to a new direction. And again, thinking bigger, allowing in more, receiving more, and just allowing your business and your life to take shape in a new way is really important for success. And Dee, you've been a great example of that this year. So I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to support and serve you. I can't wait to hear how amazing, well, I know how amazing it's going to be, but I mean, in terms of like, but I can't wait to share next year and where you are next year and some of those, you know, the numbers between even like the worst case scenario event that you had and still triumphing in the $38,000 in sales to, you know, to better scenarios for the next two. And then again, how many artists you're going to be able to serve and help them make money during this crazy time.
Right. I know. I'm excited about next year. I really am. I'm really excited. I'm going about it from a different approach as well. But just, you know, with the mastermind, because we are going to have some new faces, but there are some faces that are continuing on. And so, you know, those relationships that I have with those women and the new relationships that are coming down the road, I'm really, really excited about it.
And you don't even know them yet. Oh, I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to have everybody meet everybody because they're powerhouse women, and you know who you are when you're listening to this. And there are a couple of you on the fence that I'd love you to come in because you're powerhouse women too. And I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I want to start right now. So everyone, please check out Dee's art, even just to see what an artist she is. What a talented, articulate artist in her use of paint and color and shapes and layers. Doug looks at the painting on the wall every day and he's like, you can see so many different things in there. Like every day is like a new thing. Like your art is just gorgeous. So deeauranttstudios.com. 25% off. Buy yourself a Christmas gift. Use that money if you need a tax deduction to make some gifts, because, you know, maybe this year you might have not. Maybe you made more, maybe you made the same, but you probably have spent less. So, right. So if you need a tax deduction too, deeauranttstudios.com. And if you're an artist, please do not hesitate to at least go check out ifyouplanet.com/2021. There is support for you, and Dee can help provide that. So Dee, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks, JJ.